Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought that this was a good day for us to discuss power. Now, we've discussed power here on the channel many times before, but not quite like this. See, most of the time when we discuss power, we're talking about a power station and doing a review. However, a lot of you have expressed that you have no desire to put a power station in your van, and you've asked me what my other solutions for power happen to be. And to that, we have a little bit of a test that we're going to do today. Now, if you're new here, you might have missed the first 3 years of my travels where I didn't have a van. I actually had a car, and in that car I had 0 power stations and relied simply on small inverter strips. And along the way, I still keep an inverter in the van itself. However, it's not quite the same because I have larger power stations. But being able to charge things was super important to me, even way back at the very beginning. Now, I have been through a variety of different kinds of inverters, from this one to this one to this one, and there's been a few others kind of sprinkled in there as well. However, today I wanted to share with you 2 solutions that I will be testing out to see if they make the cut to go back into the van itself. Now, let's talk about why inverters can be handy to anyone, despite what kind of vehicle that you have. Whether you travel full-time or you travel just on the weekends, an inverter strip is something that you should be considering. First and foremost, an inverter is something that can plug into your physical vehicle through the cigarette lighter or DC port, and then it can translate the power from your vehicle into a user-friendly version of power for basic devices that either have a standard plug or a USB plug. These come in many shapes and sizes, as you can tell from the ones that I've previously used, and so there's no one fit for each individual. That is a blanket statement for us all. Now, as always, whenever I do these videos, this is just meant to share with you something that I am trying out. So I want to share 2 meaningful solutions that I am actually testing, and well, here you go. Okay, this is actually a power inverter, and this is a DC to DC USB charger. So I'm going to be checking these 2 things out just to see what I think about them. As you can see, it's a 200 watt power inverter. It goes DC to AC. It has 4 charging ports, and inside it looks like this. Now, this can plug into my cigarette port, as most people still call it. This is going to be able to basically replace the power strip that I used to have in the van. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I had this black and yellow DC port that had 4 plugs on it and then a couple USBs. And I love that thing. I got it at a truck stop, and when you're purchasing these, purchase them at a truck stop. Trust me on this, you'll get a better one than you can get at Walmart or something. However, with that said, I'd had that one for a while, and what I noticed over time was that it started to get a little wonky on me. It's just a use. I use it a lot, so it wasn't like I had overloaded it or anything. It's just that it had run its course. So finally, I got back to base camp, and I always try to test things, especially my electronics, and I was testing that and realized that it was not letting all of the plugs on the strip charge. So basically, I was just like, okay, so that means that they're failing. I don't want it to have an issue where it causes a fire. Let's just be honest. No one wants to have something that's failing and could potentially end in fire. So I really looked at it, and I read a little bit online, and they said that if it starts to fail, you need to replace it. So I was looking to go and find another one of those, and instead I happened upon this one. So inside we go. We're pulling it out, and this is interesting. It has 4 USBs right here, and then it has 2 standard plugs. It all has a little power switch, so that's pretty cool, and then it has the DC end over here. And for today's test, we're going to pull out the good old trusty Jackery. This is the Explorer 1000. I've been using this one the longest out of any power stations that I carry with me. So first off, I'll plug it in. Okay, that goes in there nice and snug, which means it'll go in nice and snug on my van also. Now we're gonna turn it on. And don't worry guys, I'm gonna give you guys a full, I've been using this for a certain amount of time, review on the Jackery very soon. I wanted to collect my thoughts a little bit more before I put together the video, but I just want you guys to know how much I really do enjoy Jackery as a whole, and so that'll be coming very soon. Now, whenever I plug this in, it immediately goes to 1 watt of draw, and that is before I have even clicked the power button. When I click the power button, I have a light here that is currently blue. So I guess that means that it is working. Now again, I'm not going to be using this on a power station. This is going to be used in the van, but it's always nice to know how many watts each item pulls so that you know that you're not overloading something like your cigarette lighter. It's really important to know these things before, because otherwise you can blow a fuse. And so that's why I always use a trusty power station, because they have a little kind of way for you to see that physically. Let's start off with the simple one. We're gonna plug in a good old cell phone, because I charge my phone going down the road all the time. You can see it's all plugged in. Next we plug in the phone, and it immediately went to charging, so it is working. In fact, it has bumped it up to 16 watts, which is still well within the 200 watt range. So I can count on this to charge pretty much all of my camera equipment. That's what this is telling me. Okay guys, instead of a little power station, I decided to go in with one of the big boys, because if it can power this big boy, then we are good to go. So this is the Pecron. The Pecron is the E1500 Pro. I love this thing. I love it so much. These two, these two right here, I need to do a comparison video for you guys, just so I can show you the different features. But if this tiny little adapter thing right here, this inverter adapter, can power this, I can definitely charge this going down the road. Okay, I had to move it back here for a little bit more stability, so let's see. It is plugged in, and now, is it working? Ooh, it turned on, so it is definitely trying to work. Okay, are we going to get any watts out of it? That's the question. It is definitely attempting to charge. And this thing was at 0, so we're gonna find out real quick if this works. Meanwhile, it's only pulling 17 watts, and that's with the cell phone plugged in. In fact, let me unplug the cell phone to see what it happens. Okay, I keep hearing it do like a little clicking, so I don't know if that's the surge watts overloading it or what is going on, but I'm not seeing any pull in on this. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug it into the wall to see how many watts that it's pulling, because this one is like a fast charge. So maybe this one won't work, but maybe another one would. Let's find out. Okay, into the wall we go. This is like an experiment. It's always interesting. Okay, it is plugged in, and it is attempting to do something. Let's see what happens. It should start showing a reflection of this very soon on it pulling in. Yeah, it's pulling in too many watts. That's the reason. Okay, so we can't charge the big boy on this thing, but that's okay, because I couldn't charge the big boy on the other one that I had either. Guys, this is why I always say, if you have the ability to test your products before you hit the road, like at a base camp, at a hotel, at a campsite with a regular plug-in, do it. Just do it, because this allows you to see what you can and cannot use on this. Like, for example, I know for a fact that I cannot run my kettle off of this. It would blow every single everything. It would not work. I knew that going in, because it's like 650 watts. But I had never really paid attention to how much that this one pulls out of that immediate draw. Because it's a rapid charge, it pulls a lot. Now, with that said, I can charge this using the cigarette port and the other connector. The other connector is a slow charge, which means it won't get to the maximum like topped offness near as quickly. However, I can do that. So I'll still do that while I'm using the Pecron here, and it'll be fine. However, I was hoping that through this plug it could do a little bit more. But at the same time, I totally get why it can't. Now what I can do though is I can run my refrigerator off this while I'm driving so that I don't have to pull off my battery. So that's good because I've tested that already. So this is gonna work out really, really well for me. I think I'm gonna go through before I load up the van with all the different power stations and test each and every one of them to see which ones I can and which ones I cannot charge using this guy. And that is the best thing that I can do. We're not gonna do all those in this video because I'm not sure which ones I'm taking with me because, well, we're not to that phase yet. But this means I can definitely charge my laptop using my van directly. I can definitely charge all of my small devices going down the road so that whenever I leave point A and I'm going to point B, if I need all my camera batteries charged, I can do that without depleting my resources of my big boy batteries. That is good. That saves me a lot of power. And just one final reference, plugged directly into the wall, this thing is drawing 1,000 watts and it's already gotten to 8%. It's been just like a couple minutes. So this thing, again, I'm telling you guys, the rapid charge of this is just so worth it. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to this one and I'm so excited about this. Okay, if you hear a little humming in the background, that is that peck run. I'm gonna go ahead and let it charge up since it was fully dead. And we're pulling out this. This is the X-Star EU4S DC to DC USB charger. And it's a nice size, as you can see here. The cords are all on this side and you can see that it has the DC plug right here. And then here, wait a second, is this going to be something that I could just use in the van? Kind of in the same capacity? This isn't what I thought it was. This is potentially even better because this gives me just another USB set of ports. So this will work in correspondence with the other one. I was definitely thinking this was just like a little power bank, but this is actually something that I can use in the van to give me more of those USB ports. So even if I don't need to plug in other things, I can plug in this guy right here and have enough ports to be able to charge all of my stuff. So I have 3 USBs, one of which is a rapid charge and a USB-C, which the other did not have. So I could plug my iPhone directly into this with the actual attachment cord, the C attachment, which they're moving toward with all of the new devices, by the way. Also though, if I'm not needing to charge my big boy power stations while I'm driving, like that guy back there, I could actually plug this into the back cigarette lighter and then I could charge my stuff back there while also charging things using that other one. So this is definitely maximizing my ability to do things and I really like that. Okay, I unplugged it for the purpose of us not having to hear the fan for a minute. Now we need to turn on the DC, and now that the DC is on, 16%, wow. Okay, so over here we have the little device and we can turn it on and it tells us that it has USB, USB 2, USB 3, and Type C. So does that mean I can't use them all at once? I'm super confused. Let's try to plug in a couple of things. Again, this is why we test things before. Because I have no idea whenever I get some of these items how they're going to work out. Now, this particular company was kind enough to send this to me so I could check it out and see if it's something that I would like in the van. And so if this works out, this will be super awesome and I appreciate them a lot for this. I'm hoping that it does work out how we want it to. If it does, this could be helpful to us all, especially if you have a vehicle that doesn't have USB ports at all, but you have numerous like cigarette lighter areas. I know a lot of people have DC ports throughout, especially like in the town and countries and things like that, but they don't necessarily have ports that are primed for the appliances and the apparatuses that they need. So this could be really handy. I'm so excited, but I need to round up a few things. Let's plug some stuff in. Okay, silly as it might be, these are the only two things I could find that have a cord for this moment. However, let's see, this is already plugged in and it's showing that it's charging. So it is set for the second one though. So let me see if me changing that takes it off the charge. No, so as long as it's plugged in, it is good to go. So now we're gonna see if the Type C works. I need to pull out my Apple Watch And this thing is completely dead, so it should take it a second. And then, yep, there it goes. It is showing that it is in fact charging. So I have a full charge going on there. I have a charge going on here. So yeah, this works. You can plug in up to 4 devices, which is so handy. So up to 4 things can be plugged into that. And then I have 4 USBs on the other one and 2 plugs. That means that I could plug in my camera battery, which has a regular plug. I could plug in my other camera battery, which has a regular plug. I could plug in my GoPro batteries, which have USB and USB. I could plug in my other GoPro, which has a USB-C. I could plug in my watch. I could plug in my phone. All of my small things. That is awesome. But also I could plug in my USB fans to this if I needed some additional air circulation, and I wouldn't have to drain my batteries very much to do that. But let's see. We're gonna keep playing with this for a minute. Excuse me, 8 watts for both of those? Are you saying that this is actually more efficient? Yes, it is, because a while ago, whenever I had the other one plugged in, just using the USB with my phone, it was going between 8 and 16. I now have my phone and my watch plugged in, and it's only drawing 8 consistently. Wow. Now, while I'm driving, I like to be able to do all of these things, and this is when I primarily would use any of these devices. And so that means I could literally charge all of my devices that I have, with the exception of my big boy stuff, on these 2 tiny little things that both could fit in my console realistically. That is amazing. So yes, both of these things definitely going in the van. As you can see from this video, these 2 solutions can be absolutely wonderful, and they can also serve a variety of different functions based on if you need standard plugs or just USB. Now for me, because I use so many different forms of power, this is going to go hand in hand from device to device and be super handy. However, I wanted to share today's video with you guys so you can not only understand the inverter power and see that you don't necessarily always have to have a huge power station, but also how these can work and what I suggest to you in order to test them before you hit the road. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and well, these meaningful solutions definitely make that good time a little bit easier. Till next time guys, bye!